We're live.
And we're live once again here.
This could be it, Harry. Pass the word along. Tell the men it's time to shoot the moon.
Shoot the moon!
Not out there on the microphone. On the microphone.
Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
So I gotta give an introduction, I guess. Hello, everyone. This is Rada here.
This is Andy Velasquez.
Jaime Delgado.
It's Cold Time Chris.
With the full cast of the full spectrum experience. Well, it's getting fuller.
It's good.
It's going to get more full as time goes on.
My name is David Merlin. Nothing you'll hear me say is intended as legal advice. Anything that sounds like that to you, just consider it something somebody else might do on a planet far, far away where the law matters. It doesn't matter here. I prove it on a daily basis. Believe it.
So we're going to talk about taxes?
Taxes.
Let's talk
Everyone's
about taxes.
favorite subject.
Hell yeah.
Taxes.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
I like to kind of talk about a little bit about taxes, but about the changes, the coming up changes. I was kind of doing like some research today, kind of reading up on a couple of things and like what changed for this coming up years. For this coming up year, what changed in 2018? There were several tax bracket rates that changed. Like the standard deductible deduction has nearly doubled. So there was like different things that changed, but that actually kind of was a big one that changed. Like there's actually like more rooms. There's actually kind of like more way to actually kind of write things off now, and the way it's kind of made compared to how it was before. One of the cons, the pros, especially, I guess talking for everybody, all the listeners who got kids, is that the child tax credit went up. I know this is big for me. Having a kid, went up from 1,000, now it's up to 2,000 tax credit. So that's pretty huge,
Yeah.
Like some things went away, but that in itself kind of replaced it, And also like where I was getting my sources. We can cite it later for all of the viewers. There was actually like about 2-3 websites I was actually kind of looking up, and all of them were kind of like pointing out, especially for that,
Yeah.
Especially, for I guess all the viewers, we have different. All of us here have like different situations, as far as our taxes go.
Right.
Me in particular, I'm kind of like more going with having a kid, that kind of reflects, like kind of bigger, especially everybody knows. So that was like a big one. I heard like. Kind of went up, a $2,000 tax credit, as well as another one is there's a $400 family credit for other dependents like elderly parents or children over 18 that are still like living. So any viewers that have like elderly parents, where there is like now like a new imposed tax credit, you get like $500. It's not much, but it's something,
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, because right now they kind of remove the itemized. It's if you're filing like separately, it's 12,000 up to 12,500, I believe. Yeah, not itemized.
Oh.
So you can actually it's actually get to a point where it actually seems even easier just to get, because even filing jointly, like married, which like right now, since I'm married. That's 24,000. So it's actually they're actually saying it's like, well, if you itemize, kind of compare the where I was looking at, it was actually a good site that was actually pretty helpful was CharlesSchwab.com. I know it's investing, but they really talk about like tax strategy. Yeah. I looked up on several. It was Schwab.com, and they actually, the way they kind of broke it down, it was actually pretty informative as with the new laws. As well as I checked up that wasn't my only source, but I checked up the different sites about the new changes. So I know kind of going in, kind of hitting up the history as well, like the new tax changes. It really helps out like all our viewers. As well as I got like informed as well, because I was kind of like wondering how, like, especially having a child, how does that kind of affect because I guess eventually it's kind of strategic planning in a sense, in a way,
Yeah.
Even sometimes
you gotta know what's up.
Yeah, you gotta know what's going on, especially that's a big huge tax write-off. Also, as well as having a kid, there's another plan which, like, the expert I was listening to, he was real adamant about this, especially when he was talking about it, and it really seemed something like kind of like, what is he talking about? To a point where I kind of like reviewed what he kept saying. And I kind of like had to listen to it like 3 or 4 times. But it's called Plan 529. It's a saving plan, and it's normally designed for college, but now it can be done for private education. Anything that kind of tuition based, you can kind of like put money into it, and it's a tax write off. So it's a deductible, and the guys are like real huge about it. So it's called 529 plan. So it's something like you kind of like you can put money into it, like especially if you got kids, and it's actually it's a write off, and it's more aimed at if you're trying to go for private schools or like stuff like that, even college. So it's something that you kind of like save up for your kids. They actually it's like very like it can work off because it's tuition based. So it's something that you start like seeing kind of like strategic planning. But also, if you got like in my case, if you got like a child, then it's something like all these things really affect it, and it's kind of ways you can actually set them right, have them save your money as well, but not actually affect you. You actually play the game as a Texas and know where to actually kind of put your money. So those are kind of like some of the big things I was checking. Another thing that they removed, I'm kind of going now with the cons that they kind of changed. Now there's no personal exemptions, like with your home equity line of credit, like the interest that you made, especially like
for me
and being a homeowner, like the equity that you made, the interest that you make, you can't deduct that now. So whatever you money you made on it, you can't actually the interest on it, you can't deduct that. So if you do get a loan, refinance it. Instead of actually like, okay, I made this much money, the interest on it, you were able to deduct it, and now it can't be deducted. Among that, the other deductibles that got kind of removed this year, 2018, I guess for last year, is the alimony. To everybody, like all listeners, moving expenses. I guess before you can write off moving expenses, and tax preparation. You can actually write off tax preparation before. Those three things they removed, but they kind of made it up. Especially if you're married and like got kids, they kind of made it up with removing the itemized. So that's pretty interesting. Especially I was kind of still I was looking that up, and it was like kind of like those are the biggest things that kind of changed this year, as well as you can deduct. That's still the same. You can deduct student loans, the interest on student loans. So that's still kind of stay the same. So. That was pretty good. And then one thing that really stand is the guy was kind of adamant about this. Is that when you're married, you're always like kind of in good shape. So anytime like
trying to push us, but I'm falling.
It is falling
for that shit. I don't need your money. Keep your fucking money. I don't need that shit.
I like my freedom instead.
Yeah, God damn it. Fuck you.
So for all of our viewers,
don't do it. Don't fall for it. It's a trap.
Obviously, we're here. We kind of look at the full spectrum, but that's
we're all different. We all represent different,
different
backgrounds,
So
that's a cool part of this.
That's part of the. That's the game. You gotta see the game, and the game says if you're married, you gotta better off. So.
Yeah.
Well, the system is set up to actually reward that, and actually try to enhance that and enforce that. Try to make that happen. Right. Which is always pretty interesting.
Multiple spouses.
Can I claim that?
It's tax independence.
Is there any state where that's legal anymore? There's no states that legal.
Utah.
Does Utah still allow that?
I don't know.
And does the government recognize that where you are allowed to claim all
it only
all
makes
those
sense.
spouses,
Utah might start looking good. It was not that far away.
Right.
Look at all the taxes we could be saving.
I come back. Visit. No, that multiple wife. I don't know if that's multiple headaches, but it could be.
All I'm thinking is, I'm like, cha-ching, that could be money. That could be lots of money right now. Lots of money. If you are.
How much for each kid? Oh, jeez.
This is some money, man.
Let's go on farm. I'm moving to Utah.
Welcome to Delgado's farm.
This is Jaime 1, 2.
The PTA to our diddly order, and let's see if we can't put an end to this strike fuss, huh? Mrs. Krabappel, why don't you begin?
Boo! Oh, boo yourself. Our demands are simple. A small cost of living increase and some better equipment and supplies for your children.
Oh, that's reasonable. Give it to him.
Yeah, in a dream world, we have a very tight budget to do what she's asking. We'd have to raise taxes.
Raise way too high as they are now. Taxes are bad.
It's your children's future.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Children are important. Yes.
It'll cost you.
Yeah. Oh, the taxes. Right. God, you're going to raise taxes.
Come on.
All right, that's a good point. Yes. Oh, yeah, the taxes. The finger thing means the taxes.
Well, I guess this is a case where we'll have to agree to disagree.
I don't agree to that.
Neither do I.
Oh, this is a deli of a pickle.
That's kind of how the country got started, was the fact that, hey, we're getting taxed.
Hey, yeah, where are these taxes going?
Do I really want to support that war? Is that really my duty to support your willingness to be in a war?
So that's where the term "no taxation without representation" comes from?
Yes. That's
the
where
colonies weren't willing to be taxed without having representation in Parliament.
Yes.
They're getting taxed like any other, area like in Europe, which is what they were trying to get rid of. But, the colonies were rebelling against the taxation without having any representation in Parliament. Like they had no say really in anything that was going on with towards what their money was going towards. If you're paying into something, you should have at least a say over what's happening with that, what you're paying into. And that's how these guys felt. And that's how I feel most people would feel if you're, being forced to pay into something. You should at least have, at least be aware of what's going on with it,
Exactly.
At least be able to maybe influence it in some way, since your physical labor is contributing to it. So that was part of like the, one of the early struggles of the colonies. When part of that is the
tea stamp, which was a tax on tea. And then they rebelled and had their Boston Tea Party over there. They supposedly were dressed up as Native Americans, got into a bunch of boats, and made that whole port look like it was tea. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Right?
I wonder how the whole make it look like Indians, What did they actually...
What was that? What was the point of that part?
I have no idea. I don't remember. I just know they dressed up like Native Americans for some reason and went on there.
I wonder if they're like... I wonder if they have Native Americans helping them out, like at the ports. But even then, how would they actually, white man?
Well, that's one of the things that we can talk about, kind of with what's going on with even today. Like, with lots of subjects. The ruling power might view or treat things in a certain way where you kind of have to be underground if you're trying to rebel against it, Which is what these guys were trying to do. Because not everyone was, we automatically assume, if you were an American, you were a patriot and you wanted to fight and you wanted to rebel. No, a lot of these people were loyalists, which means they were, loyal to the crown. And, they were backing it up. They were going along with it. And there was only, a handful of people here and there, the minority, who were hey, is this really how we want to, we have a chance to do, we have a chance to be we're cut off from them, we're hundreds of miles from them. We have a chance to make something, make something, break from that and make something of our own here. And so that's kind of those ideas, were starting around that time. And they were starting to think, hey, if we're paying into these things, or if we're being forced to pay into these things.
I wonder if the initial thought was that this is a way for us to create wealth.
You mean for who?
For the colonists.
For themselves?
Yes.
I'm sure that,
I'm pretty sure that was a financial gain.
Yeah, but another aspect to it would be the currency, because the colonists all had their own different forms of currency, so that makes it harder to tax if all these different colonies have all their own independent money. How do you collect taxes on other on that? So it's they'd push for a banking system that used more of the British money. How they can tax themselves, but Britain can't come in and tax that. how do you tax the tax? You know, if it's not in your currency, you can't collect it. So that's like another push for them to not only, because that's one of the things that like people don't talk about either is like how different currencies and different taxes are created an issue. How do you even tax money to begin with? Well, the money has to exist first. So like the creation of currency and how currency works is also an important part of understanding taxes. You're issuing the money, whoever's in control of the printing and the issuing money, and then determining how like where those are all determined, and who has a say in the connection between currency and taxation. My take on it. This is my my understanding of it. the reality of it is well, like that, like anything that you learn or research, you're getting it from different perspectives and different particular perspectives. So the colonies had their own, not all of them, but I think a lot of them had their own different currencies. And so yeah, I would assume they, like every colony levied taxes differently for different things, different purposes. But yeah, the crown, they want their cut. The colonies is an investment for them.
Yeah,
it's what it is to the crown. We're investing money into these new territories, and hopefully there's resources that are valuable to us that we can use. Which is what the colonists are. You work the land, and produce these resources for us. And they send them back.
That's funny because it's kind of like in finances or like investing. It's an venture capitalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
we front the money.
Right.
If it works, then hey, we won. If it doesn't, then we lost out. It's a gamble.
Yeah,
that's a venture.
They're
venture capitalists.
Like, hey man, like, do we have guns? Maybe we can get our money back.
Yeah.
If we have guns.
Yeah, we'll try to find some way.
Like,
get that money back.
Like that also is an important part of the story. Like, do we have weaponry? How advanced is our weaponry? Maybe we don't need money. We can get it through some other means, and then make the people pay the money.
That was one of the reasons that we declared independence, wasn't it? I thought that was one of the reasons as well. Was the fact that Great Britain was coming into the colonies and trying to take people's weapons away, or take their muskets or pistols or whatever they had at the time.
Right. Yeah.
The right to
that would make sense. Yeah.
Right to
that's probably that makes sense.
And then the reason why we have illegal search and seizure in this country is because of the fact that they were coming into people's properties and then housing soldiers in properties at will. And
we have to understand how radical the revolution, like the fighting back against that is. That's like a very radical act. If you it's the same thing as if avoid being pulled over. You have that's because in a sense you don't have property. This is the crown's property that you are a subject on. This is a colony of the crown. It's a radical thing to be like, no, we're not gonna do that no more. To say that, to think, to not just think that, which is in itself, that right there is a crazy radical thing, to think it, but then to act upon it, and to actually do it, and then to actually rally enough people to the willing to fight for that, that idea. No, we don't have to be, they can't tell us shit, that's a big thing, it's a big deal. So, and taxes were a big part of that, hey, that's how they have control over us, we're giving them money to have power over us,
as well as the taking away the arms.
And they're making it so we can't defend ourselves.
And it's funny. It's funny because nowadays you think about it, and it's that's still a big issue.
These are main issues, man. Yeah,
I mean the right to bear arms, and as well as taxation. It's the same thing. It's still kind of plagues.
It's probably the top 5 issues that people either strongly disagree on or...
Yeah, they're contentious issues.
Yeah, and then it seems like at least our whole lives, they always have been. Where our taxes go, why are we being taxed?
Why are they trying to take our guns away?
I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. Now, kind of touching base on it, it's been here since the beginning of the history of the country, and it's still here.
Yeah.
Nothing's been solved. Literally.
Those are the big things, yeah.
There's
still... Some things have gotten worse. We're getting taxed all kinds of different crazy ways, that they're not getting taxed, that they didn't get taxed back then,
And there's all these laws about guns as well.
Yeah.
And they're trying to enforce, trying to take them away,
Right.
Oh, no, you can have this one, but you can't have it like this. Or you can have it, but, it's got to have less ammunition.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow, trying to still kind of get that control. It's eye-opening after kind of presenting the whole history. You kind of like look back, you're like, it's still going on.
Because, you think about it too. I mean, remember, like the natives, like the indigenous people here. Like, which we're kind of part of that kind of group,
Yeah.
These lines are drawn by other people, Like,
Exactly.
What do you do when someone comes and draws lines through your property and like, oh, this is like a new land now?
Yeah.
So,
you gotta go.
Like, yeah, hey man, this is not your land no more. Sorry.
And it sucks because literally it's because of better weapons.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
They had arrows, they had guns. Huge difference, I mean, one had horses, those didn't have horses.
We literally lived between like how many reservations? We literally lived like right in the center of. There's Morongo, there's Saboba, there's San Manuel, right there,
Yeah, it's all up and down.
It's like that history is here with us still. It's different, Now it's this. These are all topics that are still,
still going on,
relevant today.
And it's like how long,
We're in world history, like America's like one of the youngest countries, right?
Yes.
This is like a new thing in global world history. Like we're like the new kids on the block.
Yeah.
Like look at these youngsters over here being all crazy,
wild.
all rebelling against our, we've been here for, why aren't they listening to their parents? It's kind of crazy when you look at it from like different perspectives like that. Because there are different perspectives to look at it from.
Yeah.
Which perspective makes the most sense to look at it from our angle from?
That's crazy. Even back then, the whole political system.
Yeah.
And how it all evolved.
Because people have different backgrounds and different experiences, so they have different frames of reference in how they're looking at something.
Yeah.
And so it'll take them in different directions.
Little disclaimer to all our listeners: we are not CPAs.
This is a brief tax history, and this is like legal advice on whether or not you should do your taxes, or whether or not you should rebel against your taxes.
Yeah. But we do give our
we're giving the history of the founding of the country, though.
Oh yeah.
And part of that history is like
taxes.
Taxes.
Exactly. Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Right. Wait.
So
we make a prediction.
Go for it.
Did this first income tax? Was it anything had to do associated with or was it affiliated with war?
So the first income tax
I had a suspicion.
Was initiated in 1812, and it was actually to pay for the War of 1812. It was taken away around 1817. So
okay, so it wasn't very long.
So 4 to 5 years.
Like
it was just enough to pay for the war.
I think we can all agree with that type of taxation.
That makes sense.
We need this amount of money, so we're going to tax you for this amount of period only, and then the tax will be gone.
We're done with those wars.
Yeah.
We're done with that war.
I think we can all agree with that type of informed. Hey, we need this.
Yeah.
If you like your house not being on fire and under attack from the British, kick in some money,
Makes
sense.
So
we can make that happen,
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's still that way today, as far as the British problem and all that.
Yeah, dude. You gotta keep those.
Keep those Brits out.
Look at Mr. Beano trying to come up in here and take over our shit.
Yeah, build that
Fish
wall.
and chips.
That's our primary reason for building the wall. Keep the Brits out.
Right. They're sneaking in through Mexico. They have their own underground railroad going on.
They're paying Mexicans in euros.
So it's taken back.
So it was taken away in 1817, and the next time it came back into 1862.
That's a good amount of time to not have income taxes. Imagine taking home all your money. Imagine looking at your check, and all that money goes to you.
So 1817 to 1862, there was no tax?
No taxes.
That's a good amount of time to... So
that'd be 40 years.
That'd be a good time to go see who built wealth during that
40
time.
40 years. 39 years.
Yeah.
39 years.
That could be a future episode to actually look into that.
Yeah, who during that time period, was like, hey, alright, let's take advantage of this,
I'm telling you, that's what
stack that money. I'm sure back then the income tax wasn't that big,
But still, I mean, nobody's taking... the government's not taking extra. You're whatever's yours is yours.
It's a big deal.
40 years. That's what I'm saying. That's when...
So
look at it, that's when Vanderbilts came around. That's still a big...
Yeah.
Families, came. So it's one of those things you really got to kind of like look at history. You're like, wait a minute.
To understand all different aspects of it, you know, like the economics of it, you know, the political situation.
Yeah. That's one thing about
people. Like, I don't like politics. You know? Well, hey, sorry.
This is what it is. Hey, it's been here since the beginning of time.
Yeah, you know?
It's been here before.
I don't like it either.
Yeah. The way it looks, politics don't really like us either.
It's a hate. It's a love-hate relationship.
We're all forced. This is all being forced upon us all. You know?
might as well learn it. And
learn how to, you know. Yeah, like it's always better to be more aware of it. You know, understand it. You know.
What's that saying? It's all life is just a game. Just no matter how you play it.
Right. Every time learn how to play better. You know. Yeah. It's not all bad.
Ignore it.
That's one way of playing it.
Just let it make its own rules and it'll balance itself out.
The ships follow the me.
You know what's interesting? I was hearing. They make it out to seem like Lincoln was out there to try to save the slaves.
No, not at all.
The big hero, and he was actually
not at all. There's a quote from him saying, "If I can save the Union by freeing the slaves, I'll do that. If I can, you know, save the Union and not have to free the slaves, I'll do that." His main thing was saving the Union. It wasn't really slavery. And there's like a quote to that effect. You know, like a quote to that effect. You know, like it does. You know, it's not slavery that I'm worried about. It's the Union. You know, and so if I have to, you know, free the slaves to save the Union, okay, then we'll do that. You know? But his main thing was.
So the other thing, do you think he's saying that because he's trying to please the white Southerners that he has in the South, or do you think he was actually concerned about the slaves and he really wanted to free the slaves?
I don't think that part of it
at all.
Yeah, I don't think he was very. From what I understood, he wasn't that. Yeah, like anti-slavery. I don't think
he was like,
You know, it's some people like that's the thing. That's the point. Like if you grew up in it, and you lived around it and you saw how it operated, you know, like you'd be like, oh, it's just what are you guys complaining about, you know? Like
that's how it works.
Like this is how you're wearing the clothes that you have. That was one of the arguments that the Southerners would levy against the Northerners who were anti-slavery. You guys are against this stuff, but you guys don't realize it produces the very life that you guys are allowed to lead now. You know, all these luxuries you have, all these nice clothes you were wearing, you know, all this stuff comes from because we're able to create wealth for free with these, you know, laborers.
The GDP.
You know? Yeah. So like if you want to get rid of it, you're not connecting it to the world around you.
You big dummy! See what you did?
Yeah, you're a part of it. You know.
You get naked.
But it shows how it's not even to that extent about there. Some of it is about enslaving, you know, people. Because there was not only blacks who were slaves, you know, there was other, you know, that they were the most predominant ones in the South, you know. But slavery itself was like what do they call it? Indentured servitude. There were different forms of it, you know.
Right.
Like it was back then, and even now, like you owe money, you know, like you better get to work. You better be working for somebody, you know. Like, you know, like it's
funny.
The form it takes, you know, because even Abraham Lincoln talked about, you know, when people started receiving wages, he called that wage slavery. Well, now you're working for money. You're not really working towards the producing of a better, you know, more fulfilled and meaningful life for yourself. You're working for the purpose of this money, for a wage.
Salary slave.
Yeah, you know, like, you're not building yourself, you know, into anything.
I remember hearing that quote and thinking to myself, so is he considering all of Americans right now as slaves?
I would think that a lot of them would, yeah. You know, they'd be probably like, God damn, this is what happened?
the ones I guess are like conscious about it. I can see if you're conscious but you're trying to do something to get out of it, not have to be like dependent on. I mean, I'm seeing it from an entrepreneurship, you know, point of view. You know, like I can see how being dependent on somebody, not kind of like always relying on, you know, I guess like a paycheck, being in entrepreneurship, you know. Which initially, you know, who wouldn't want, you know, to be their own boss?
I see entrepreneurs is like you're in charge of your life.
Yeah.
Like you make all the decisions of all, you know, like
nobody's dictating you have to be at a certain spot or you got to be somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
You know, from this certain time. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. I mean, but I guess.
But yeah, it's exactly. You know? And some people they're willing to accept like, oh, okay, it's easier if I don't have to think about those things. If I don't think about how to take care of myself. If someone's already has it all figured out for me and just tells me what to do. You know?
Yeah, and I get it. You know, I get a paycheck. I get something that's secured.
Right.
So it's, I guess, freedom versus security. A lot of times, you know,
what did who was it Thomas Jefferson or one of the guys says those who sacrifice freedom for security deserve neither. Like they you know, like if you understand what it is, you know, like
I heard that quote. That's a good quote.
Your life is yours. You have to take it into. That's kind of what the war was fought over. You know, like, are you gonna let someone else tell you what your life is supposed to be? Or are you supposed to let someone else, you know, say, hey, you have to do this for your life. Your life has to be dedicated to making this thing around you awesome. The king. Long live the king, you know. Like, no, like you can live your life. You could be your own king. You know, it's kind of like the idea that they were fighting over. You know? And part of that has to do with like the currency and the taxes. Because like you were saying, part of the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It was about the money. The banks, when Lincoln issued the greenbacks, that's state issued debt free money. With the Treasury loans you out $100, you only owe it $100 back. Debt free, you know, there's no debt attached to it. There's no interest attached to it, so you can't, you know, pay it back. And it goes, and all that money goes to the Treasury, which is back into, you know, the services that, you know, that the people decided that the government's going to do. Versus a central bank. Part of why the Civil War was fought is because it was funded by Europe, the European bankers. They wanted war in America because it's easier for them to get control when things are, you know, when the people are going to war. Especially because what do you need during war? Money. You know? And who's got money? The European bankers, you know, like, oh hell, we'll help solve your problems. How much we'll loan you out money, you know? Like it's that interest though. So, you know.
It'd be interesting to find out who actually took that money. Did the South actually take that money? Was the South actually being funded by Europeans, you're thinking? Or was the Union actually being funded by Europeans?
There's people
funding both sides.
Well, there's people trying to get, you know, they're trying to influence both sides. Yeah. Like, again, they want both sides to...
They didn't care about the outcome. Yeah. They didn't care about the outcome. They just cared about war.
Because they want to regain control over, you know, the colonies. Because it's their original investment. You gotta protect your investment. Hey, you know, our investment's fighting back. You know, like we gotta, you know, they're trying to start their own. You know, and they actually see that these guys are trying to break free, and they're figuring out how to break free by creating their own money. We can't let that happen. We have to make them go to war with themselves, so that we can help institute our central banks. That we can. It's easier to levy taxes. You know, levy and collect taxes.
When did we actually gain the Federal Reserve? Do you remember?
That didn't come out until I believe it's the Federal Reserve in 1812? I could have that wrong.
No, 1912.
1912.
No. I think it was 19. I know it was 19.
Yeah. It was under Woodrow Wilson. Okay. I know that it was under Woodrow Wilson.
So I think you guys are both right, because if I remember correctly, there was one that was trying to be instituted around the time of Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
And Andrew Jackson was one of the...
That was the first.
That was the very first attempt at it. And Andrew Jackson actually broke it down.
The first national bank? It was like named like that, but I think it was
the first attempt at a central bank basically for the United States.
Yeah, and Andrew Jackson killed it. That was his greatest achievement. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I killed the banks.
And he said, "Motherfucker."
Shut up! He should have thrown like both fingers up. That's going to you guys.
That's how I remember him in history. Yeah.
Fingers up, middle fingers up. Yeah, exactly.
Like the white
Thug Life.
Like the white version of Samuel Jackson, right?
That's all sideways. He has Thug Life on his
his tricorner head.
Off to the side.
Backwards.
Kicking indoors, just, you know.
Right.
He's throwing out the big dub and then the big middle finger. Like.
It wasn't Andrew, we called his friend, he called him Dre. Dre.
Call me Dre Jackson.
Dre Jackson. Dre.
Well, it was tight. Except for the fact that he hated Indians. And pretty sure he was also a slave owner at the time.
Man,
that is the founding of the country.
That is the founding of the country.
It's wild, dude.
That's
we all have our own, like, you know, things like that, you know? Like, what? He did this and that? Like, hey, It's reality. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's kind of weird.
Bill Cosby rapes and he saves.
Yeah.
Rapes and he saves. That was a great joke by Chappelle. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard it. If you guys have a chance, you should probably watch that skit. It was pretty good.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
He does a pretty good job of showing how Bill Cosby did a bunch of good things, but he did a horrible fucking monstrous thing as well.
The full spectrum.
He was all of it.
Not for any controversy.
So that was the.
So that was the
Second?
institute. That was the second time they actually brought in the income tax. They actually went back to internal taxes in around 1868, which was the taxation of tobacco, distilled spirits, and bonds. The income tax was officially removed in 1872. So that was the second time it came in and came out. This time the first time was only around 4 or 5 years that it was on there.
Nice.
That paid for that war. Mm-hmm. The second time was a little bit longer. It was actually 10 years.
Oh, getting us used to it.
Oh, they are getting us used to it.
They're easing it in.
Yes, they are. In 1913 is when the 16th Amendment was actually passed. And the 16th Amendment is what created the income tax.
Here comes the controversy.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason it was actually passed in 1913 is because the second one was actually taken out by the Supreme Court going, this goes against the Constitution. You guys can't have an income tax. It goes against the Constitution, so they took it out.
Unless it's amended. Unless the Constitution is amended.
Unless the Constitution is amended, which is what happened in 1913.
Well, I wonder who pushed for these amendments.
That is interesting.
It was probably the people, huh?
Definitely the people.
Yeah.
You know, we need to pay for things. We need more things.
We need to pay for it.
And not only do we need to pay for things, we need to overpay for things.
Yes.
I got all this money in my pocket. I don't know what to do with it.
All right, let's give it to the government.
You take it.
In 1943, it changed because they decided to actually implement the income tax so that it taxed everybody.
Oh, it got us all.
It got everybody. And it did that by actually forcing employers to actually collect taxes from the employees, making it easier to levy that tax on people.
Why before? How was it before?
Before it was quarterly, and it was up to the individual to pay his taxes.
So the people it was voluntarily.
Yeah, but the people weren't paying these taxes, and they were falling into large debts, and the government was not collecting. So they were like, "How do we make this so that we could actually make sure we're collecting this?" So they went away from having to pay it quarterly to instituting it directly to the employers.
So before you get paid, we get paid.
Yes,
we got to get paid first. And we put a lot of hard work in.
That's when it happened.
In this scenario.
And technically, they're the first ones that said,
"Fuck you, pay me." Oh, you had a fire? Fuck you, pay me. Place got hit by lightning, huh? Fuck you, pay me.
Like when Benjamin Franklin had that quote, there's nothing in this life except death and taxes. Meaning, part of taxes is like you being allowed to operate. But what that means, what does that mean? Like a tax, because even in the legitimate world, we pay income tax, but there's still taxes in the underworld. Don't think that taxes don't exist just because you're not, part of the legitimate, 1099 world. No, that exists in that world as well. You have to pay your taxes, and there's the consequences in that world for not paying your taxes are much more dire. If you don't pay your taxes, like for example, we'll be like, the interest rate, in The Godfather. Yeah. Oh, you guys are making good, you guys are making some good money around here, like, and back then they were like stealing, just stealing random shit and then selling it. Hey, you guys are making a good, making some money for yourselves. Well, in order for you to keep operating like that, you gotta kick, you gotta kick some upstairs, like I'm the guy who controls it around here. So, you take care of me, I take care of you. Like, I don't bother you. Like, you can still continue what you're doing, but you still gotta pay. Like, there's still, it still exists.
It still exists.
Like, the crazy thing is, like, what makes it exist? Like, what is that?
Control.
What is that about? Yeah, exactly. Control. You said it right there. Boom, that's what it is right there. Control. It's all. That's the key. That's the whole basis of what the movie Matrix is about.
take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Morpheus realizes it to him, like in the beginning of the movie, like, what is the Matrix? The Matrix is control. It's all about control. And that's kind of what people were fighting the Revolutionary War for, you know, like, not to be controlled. We're fighting back against this. We don't want to be controlled. We want to be free. We have the capability, you know, like Thomas Paine's Common Sense was one of the, I have to go back and read that book, you know, like, but that was like one of the biggest inspirations for like the Revolutionary War, like his words, and the fact that, you know, we can spread information like that among each other. A new version of that is happening now with the internet. You know, people have access to more of the information. You know,
that's funny. That's funny that you even bring that up. Like, wasn't that the big revolutionary thing that happened around that time?
Yeah, like the printing press.
The printing press was actually the big thing that came out around that time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that allowed people to actually create
pamphlets of common sense. You know, like
exactly.
a lot of the forefathers. That's a lot of what they did. They had their own printing presses and they were printing their own material. Yeah. Benjamin Franklin. You know, a lot of them did it. You know. Trying to, you know, show people, hey, you know, we don't have to do what the British, you know, tell us. And we can take care of ourselves here. We can like keep them out. And that's that's a big idea.
Yeah.
It's still kind of important today because like people think, yay, America won the Revolutionary War. They're never gonna come back for, you know, control. No, like people who have control, like the game's never over. You know, the game still continues and it continues on to this day, and now we're playing it. You know, we have to figure out our place in this, you know, matrix of control.
Yeah.
Are we gonna, you know, be a part of it? You know, add to it. You know, make it more
controlling
of us.
That's one of the main things for this podcast. Is actually trying to get people to actually come together and realize, as a collective, we actually have a voice, and we actually have.
Yeah.
We can actually make changes if we really want to.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to play.
It comes first to understanding, though. We have to understand. Like we have to talk about these things and understand.
Exactly.
You know, like what the actual history is. You know, what the reality of it is. You know,
like you were saying that there. I think it was Luisa was actually bringing it up. Like there probably was a reason why those people, or I think it was actually you that brought that up. Why those people actually dressed as Indians when they actually went in that ship or whatever and started the Boston Tea Party. You know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were still part of the government, still were loyalists. You know.
Yeah. Like, there's part of you have to make a living for yourself, and sometimes you have to do that in the system, you know, like being a part of the enemy, you know.
Yeah. I'm not saying that we're starting a revolution here, everybody. I'm just saying.
But
just saying that we should be informed, you know.
Send an email.
Paul, the modern Paul Revere sends emails. Mass emailing everybody.
Right. The British are coming. The British are coming.
The drones are coming. The drones are coming.
Right.
The Clintons.
The Clintons are coming.
Jeff Bezos is coming. Oh, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, that could be an episode of South Park right there.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, like the more we're aware of everything, you know, it starts with awareness. You know, you really start causing a ruckus or commotion without knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
You know, like
exactly.
That's not wise.
That would be stupid.
Yeah,
you know?
That's not wise to do. Yeah,
especially with the fact like
they want people to do that.
Yeah, you live in a society right now where everything is highly controlled. Your Second Amendment, which is your right to actually bear arms, is
under attack.
100% under attack. Depending on which side you are, some people would say that you're under attack. You know.
Yeah.
It would be stupid to go attack somebody who has the military might that the U.S. government has. It'd be almost retarded to actually start a fight with them.
You're choosing your enemy's best weapon. That's not smart.
Not smart at all.
We have to upgrade our strategy.
What's that saying? Keep your friends closer, your enemies closer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's better to kind of like know the game, know what they're doing, and then kind of like, okay.
And then knowing is half the battle. You know?
Exactly. We're not starting a revolution. We don't want to get our asses kicked by a Gatling gun over here.
We're starting our own individual revolutions of our own minds. We're trying to revolutionize our own mind and how we think and, you know, how we feel about stuff.
I'll say the title for the next one. Revolution of the Mind.
So yeah, and this kind of ties into our topic for next week.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
I guess we could release the title if you want to, or release what it's going to be about, the subject,
give a little teaser about it.
The Revolution. I enjoy it. Oh, no.
Damn, this is going to be the history hour pretty soon.
Right? Propaganda.
Yeah.
And how propaganda, how it works and how well it works.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The history of it and how it's all around us.
Oh.
And even might be inside of us.
Give a small little teaser. What'd you say about the American breakfast?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh. Your America's favorite breakfast of eggs and bacon. It was a creation of one of the experts in propaganda, which formed what's now today known as public relations, Edward Bernays. It's like a little preview. We'll get into that deeper on the episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a menu item designed for you.
I always thought it was a part of the American heartland. I always thought it was the farmers who wanted their eggs and bacon in the morning,
Right.
They wanted that hearty breakfast before they go and tend the farm or whatever,
Right. Oh, there's much more to that story.
Oh, damn it. Tune into next time.
Tune in next week.
No more eggs and bacon. No more wood.
See you guys.
Later.